Hello friends, DiffeRant Jeff here with the first ever DiffeRant Jeff Q&A. Thanks Ramona for suggesting I do this, and thank you everyone who submitted questions. To know that some people out there want to know more about me is very cool. I appreciate it. So there's a few questions, and some of them were kind of like duplicates, so let's just see here. Okay, Angel Baby from Australia and Anna in Oregon both asked a similar question. So I'm going to start with that. They both asked to tell a little bit more about my background in singing and acting and theater and stuff. So first of all, thanks for the question. And I'll just give you a super quick, let's give you my life story real quick, okay? My grandfather, Johnny Desmond, was a very wonderful World War II era crooner and went on to do acting and stuff. He was actually in Funny Girl with Barbara Streisand as Nicky Arnstein. And he is just a legend. He was the most beautiful singer. And he was called the wartime Sinatra, but he's actually a more beautiful singer than Sinatra. I'm not trying to compare their talents because Sinatra's like a totally different type of a performer. But I'm looking at my grandpa's picture on the wall here. He's always with me. And he passed away before I really became passionate about performing. And so it's sort of sad, but singing and acting have always been in my blood, as well as my mom was the choreographer and one of my great teachers of all my shows, and she used to do summer theater in my town, and I would be the theater brat. So I got exposed to theater and music very early, and I loved it from the beginning. And it was 5th grade that I made the 100% commitment that I wanted to be an actor, and I will never give up on it. That is my dream. It's more than just a dream. That is who I am. I love doing all types of art, though. I believe in being an artist means you can do all types of art. I'm a painter. Well, that's one of my paintings behind me there. More about that another time. There's already too much info. But I'm a painter. I do finger painting. I do other types of painting. I write music, and I act, and I do all this stuff, and then some. I believe like once you commit to being my type of art is you can do any art you want because you're an artist. Artist is a soul. It's not a technique. So that's just a mouthful there. But 5th grade, I committed to being an actor. I knew I wanted to be a baseball player. I love baseball so much, but I had to make a tough decision at 5th grade, and I gave up on the official baseball dream, even though I still kept it with me and it's still kind of with me. But and I switched to acting, and I'm not going to change that. And then just to carry on, I went on to do shows, and I did a show in 5th grade with the high school show, did Music Man, and I was Winthrop, and it was like the most amazing experience to be with all the older kids and to learn. And then I did junior high theater, then I did high school theater, and then I went to college for musical theater, and I studied musical theater and acting and everything, and I was just taking voice lessons and singing rock, singing opera, singing everything, all styles of music. I love to sing everything. That's my background in singing and theater. And also within that background, I did start doing characters and making my own little videos and stuff when I was at college, and kind of, actually no, in high school, this is a good reminder for me even. In high school, I used to do these Spanish videos. Maybe one day I'll make it like a special perk and I'll share a Spanish video for my Patreon people. They're only on VHS right now though, so that's not something I can do yet, but it's a thought. We used to go to Broadway shows as a kid. My mom used to take me to see Broadway shows, and I always loved it to be able. So then the next question I'm going to get into was from ACN in Indiana, and all of you are so wonderful. Like I can't thank you guys enough. After having done YouTube for several years, to now have like a group of people who are like sincere and supportive, it feels like such a relief, and it's very wonderful for me. So thank you all again. So ACN asked about my first big show. What was my first big job? So I had I don't want to say it was a great break. I don't want to call it luck either, because it was being the right person. My first big show was the Rocky Horror Show live on Broadway. And so I got a Broadway show for my first job. So that informed a lot of my career. So it wasn't that I thought it was easy, but I think coming out of college, I was right out of college. I hadn't even moved into my own apartment. I was still living at home with my mom. And I had 9 auditions for this part. And they kept saying, oh, you didn't get it. You didn't get it. And my heart broke and it fell. And my agent was like, you didn't get it, kid. And I went home and went back. And then they called me back in a few weeks later. Oh, they need to see you again. I was like, worked on the material, went back in, did 9 callbacks. And in fact, I believe equity policy now states after 3, you get some sort of monetary compensation, I think, because you put so much work into it. But back then, in the old days, that was not the case. So I booked it, though. I eventually booked it, and I got 9. I covered, oh, now I'm using the number 9. I'm confusing myself. I covered 9 tracks also. Is that right? I was the swing, the offstage swing, and I understudied 9 tracks, all 6 ensemble tracks, which were each unique. There was only 6 people in the whole ensemble of the show, and 3 principal tracks, Brad Majors, Riff Raff, and Rocky. And I performed for all of them all the time. And that show was an amazing experience. I could go on and on and on and on and on about Rocky Horror Show. I'll just say I worked with Dick Cavett, Joan Jett. I'll give you one anecdote about that show. I understudied Riff Raff, which was being played by Raul Esparza. It was like one of my idols, one of my most favorite actors, unbelievable person. And I was the second understudy though, so I hadn't even had any, I had only had 1 rehearsal. And I didn't have costumes yet for the part, but on a 2-show day, loud truck, on a 2-show day, the first understudy was out sick and Raul called out for some reason and I had to be thrust in. So they called me back on dinner break, sent me up on stage with just the ghost light, which is like the little light bulb that you see on the pole, and the stage manager and the dance captain, and they showed me the whole thing, and I was like, and they stuffed me into Raul's costumes because he was a different, we were different sized people. And he's not that short, but it's just like, it wasn't made for me. We were a completely different shape. Those costumes are like tailored to the person. They stuffed me into a sweaty costume from the matinee and his wig, his sweaty wig from the matinee. And it was, and I went on for him with 1.5 rehearsals. And I got to stand and sing the Time Warp in between Daphne Ruby Vega. If you don't know her, she's one of the most amazing people, performers, souls. She was Mimi in the original Rent, let alone tons of other amazing things. And Joan Jett on the other side, playing Magenta in Columbia. It was, that probably will be one of the most amazing theater memories of my entire life. Going on as a young guy, green. Okay, now I'm talking too much. But that's the story, and then other things I could tell you about that show. One thing I'll just say is 9/11 happened while we were doing that show. And it was a crazy experience going through all that, being in the city during that time, and I'll save that for another day. Okay, only a few more questions, so it's not that much more. The Sly Goth, _Sly_Goth, don't want to leave out those underscores, had a couple good questions I really appreciate. Why did I choose to do parodies was the question. It wasn't something I originally was thinking about doing. In fact, I always do these short films just with a script and my own idea. And but I made something about the Curse of Oak Island announcer. It was kind of like a short film. It wasn't really a parody, but I used the Oak Island announcer as like my roommate and how he was like kind of like narrating everything, and it was funny. And I posted it in an Oak Island group and got a lot of views. And I realized, I was like, maybe if I tap into specific audiences for shows, it'll help my channel grow. But I didn't really dive in on it for a long time after that. I only did 1 or 2 other things. And then I started doing 90 Day Fiancé a little bit. And it was Oak Island and 90 Day Fiancé were the first parodies I was doing. And then one of the Oak Island supporters, I don't know exactly how to pronounce the username, but I want to say S Michael P or S Michelle P. Sorry, it's just a bunch of letters, but I think it's a name in there somewhere. They suggested that I try Sister Wives. And I was kind of like, I don't watch Sister Wives, I don't know. But I looked at the show and I knew immediately that this was going to be something that I could do. So I'm hugely grateful for that suggestion. It's amazing how like a little thought can send your life on a different path. And I do feel that Sister Wives is a huge part of the positive momentum I have going right now in my creativity. And it's the main reason why a lot of people have been joining my channel. And the channel has been growing exponentially since I started doing that. So I'm just trying to not mess this up and keep doing it and getting better. And then also I want to add other shows like Duggars and other ones that are going to help the channel grow more. So that was kind of how I got to parodies, and I'm going to keep doing it. I actually really like it. Now I'm like, I want to be the best parody guy. There's some great people on YouTube that I'm like, oh wow, they do it. Now I see I got to do even more to really be good. And then the Sly Goth also asked, what about my future projects? And I appreciate that question. My plan for the future is what some of you already know. I'm finishing my Oak Island feature film parody. I've never seen many parody feature films, or I guess there probably are. I just saw Brady Bunch just popped into my head, but I don't know. But a green screen parody feature film on YouTube for free? I don't know. I don't know who's doing that. Hopefully not a lot of other people. I want to be doing something unique. So that film will be coming out as soon as I can get it done. And also the Sister Wives feature film parody called The Fifth Wife, which I've talked about ad nauseum recently. You all know I'm working on that. That will be coming out as soon as possible, but I haven't even started filming that one yet. And it's going to take a little while. So those are future projects. I also want to get back to doing some short films that are not on the green screen because I feel like I'm kind of letting myself down on that. I'm doing so many parodies that I don't have any time or brain space left to take the camera even out of my office. But my office, if you could see, I'm not gonna turn the camera around, but let alone stacks of paintings and chaos over there, and my editing station over here. But I've got a huge pile, 2-foot tall pile of wigs just on the floor. It's just, and goatees and beards and tape and pencils, and it's kind of like the little dream come true of this like creative wannabe character kid who's now actually doing it. So the only thing that's left in this dream is to be able to support my family by doing it, which is why I'm pushing so hard on all these other promotional things. So future projects, and the only other thing I can add to the future projects, outside of going on auditions and trying to book other jobs, which I totally want to do, get shows, get TV, film, I'm not giving up on that stuff. If you don't know, last year I made my first feature film called You're Fired, James, for 0 budget with 0 crew, and I played, I think, 7 parts in it. It took so much work, and most of it was done as my son was being born, and I was like editing it up all night, and it was crazy. I'm really, really, really proud of it, and I would love if you guys could check it out and really give it a chance. If you watch it, just try to get past the first like 6 or 7 minutes just to see if it grabs you. I think probably the weakest part of the movie is like maybe like the first 3 minutes, which is kind of a fail on my part, but I did my best. And I want to make something else kind of, you know, not of a goofy character though. I want to make something else. I have some ideas. I have tons of scripts. You wouldn't believe how many scripts I have. So I want to make more stuff. Just keep making stuff, getting better. Future projects. Okay, I think, let's see, what else do we got? We got 2 more questions. Ramona from Texas asked me why the backwards R in my title, DiffeRant, Jeff. And I had to think about that one a little bit. But I recall when I was in college, I was goofing around with the camera, making weird characters and stuff, and wanted to make a little mini sort of goofy little film. And I decided to, oh, there's the air quotes again. Oh man, how much do I do that? I'm full. I can't eat these. I can't eat these right now. If you watch the other video, you know what I'm doing. And I just decided it's going to be called DiffeRant Productions. Don't ask me why. It was totally a random idea, and I drew it on the cover of this like shimmery journal I had that looked kind of trippy, and it was DiffeRant, and I just did the backwards R instinctively. It was just like different, but rant, and rant is just like what I am. It's just like all the ideas, all the chaos just flowing out of me, and I've always been kind of like a sloppy, sort of poorly organized, you know, I'm bad at handwriting, and the backwards R, I just felt like it was a part of my kind of like wildness, my chaotic part. And so it just was there. But I didn't revisit that for years until recently, when I started making a little production company, and I was thinking about making other things. And I was like, what should I call it? What should I call it? And I was like, DiffeRant Productions. It's still there. And that's why I'm DiffeRant Jeff now. I thought about changing it, and I'm sticking with DiffeRant Jeff. That's who I am, and I love it now. And so that's pretty much where it came from. I love the color orange, and that's probably why I made it orange. And it's a handmade backwards R, and that's it. That's the story on that. And then last question for this Q&A. If anybody wants to ask more questions, post it in the comments. If I get a few good questions, I'll do more. If you guys want to know more, I'm happy to do it. And I also, I'm self-aware that like talking so much about myself, it's got to be a little wrong, a little obnoxious. So I just need to be careful. I don't want to overdo it, overshare. You guys have made me feel like comfortable to share. So thanks again. But I also, I'm wary of oversharing. It's like voices in my head. Last question from my hero for the day, Barbara S., who is my first Patreon supporter. She asked me a very good question, which will allow me to share a lot. What was my journey from my previous job to YouTube? So I will just quickly say, so you guys know I've done some Broadway shows, and I've actually done 4 Broadway shows. I've also done a national tour. I've done some regional theater. I've done a few little movie things, not as much as I want. I had so many chances. I was really close, but when I was younger, I was foolish, and I didn't take the opportunities as smartly as I probably should have. And so here I am. And my last job was Kinky Boots on Broadway, which was a Tony-winning Broadway show in New York. And I was a part of that production for the entire time. From its first workshop, where you go into a dance studio and you just kind of work it out. And Cyndi Lauper was even there a bunch. I got to know her a little bit, and I'm not to be like, I guess that's sort of name dropping, but it's a really cool part of the story. I got to work with some amazing people. And so I was a part of Kinky Boots for the entire time. And actually, it's weird. The number 9, it keeps coming up. It was a nine-year gig from first workshop to closing. And it was a 6+ year job on Broadway. 8 shows a week for 6 years, basically. Sometimes I say 7 years because we did the out-of-town tryout in Chicago, and that was really hard, but we had a little break. So let's call it six years. and I did that show. It was a very hard, awesome show. I was an understudy, and I could even say I was a frustrated understudy. I always wanted to get the promotion, didn't quite get the chance. And that's something that I'm always like, I always want to get the bigger chance. I want to get the bigger chance. I want to take center stage and show what I can do with my voice and with my it factor. And I know I can do it. And I've always believed in myself, and I know it's still going to happen. And in some way, it's happening right now with you all. And this is a great time to just be creative and feel like I have an audience. Thanks again, guys. So, sorry, I digress. Kinky Boots closed 2013. No, sorry. So Kinky Boots closed in 2019. I was working on a short film that I made with a budget. I've only done 2 things with the budget. They're both my Geeble things. They're on my channel. One is Geeble, a short film, and the other one is the Geeble show. They're on the Geeble playlist or the long form content playlist. I would love for you to check those out. I'm really proud of the character Geeble. And I worked on the Geeble show after Kinky Boots closed, and then I took a little time off. And then I went to Hollywood and I helped some guys make a movie. I had a little part in the movie, and I went back and I helped some other people make a movie, and I was learning. And that is right about that second time was when COVID began, and I was following it. I don't know if you guys ever watch Agenda Free TV, which is Steve Lookner. He's a YouTube guy who does like breaking news and stuff. And he was talking a lot about COVID, and I was like all over it before it happened. I was like telling people, I was like, this is happening. I even had an N95 mask in my suitcase in Hollywood. And ironically, there was really bad wildfires at the time, and I think I used the mask for the wildfires, but I didn't use it for COVID. But when I flew home, I was aware of COVID, and people were kind of like coughing on the plane, and I was like scared, but I didn't put the mask on. Got home, sure enough, 2 weeks later, COVID was outbreaking on the West Coast, and then it ended up making its way into the pandemic. And so that kind of shut down everything for a while. And I got married to my wife on my mom's front lawn, and we moved away from the city for a little bit. And that's when I started making short films because I needed something to do. I needed something to do independently. That's why I got this little camera, and which is nothing fancy, but it does the trick. I love it. I love my camera. I love my little equipment that I have. A couple of these little rectangular lights and a couple microphones. I got all this little equipment that I could get. And I started making short films. I made one short film, and I might share that one day for Patreon people, but the first 3 I made, I didn't post. Actually, pretty much everything else is posted in my DiffeRant Jeff Short of the Week. Guys, check out my DiffeRant Short of the Week playlist. I have like 700 shorts on there, literally. I have over 700 short films on my channel. You realize this? You realize what I've been doing these last 4 years? I'm a psycho. I am a short film psycho, and I want to become a feature film psycho. It's another story. But I just want to get good. Okay, I want to be good enough that people really like what I'm doing. Long story, less long. No, I can't make it less long. It's long. It's very long. Long story. My brother said, you should see if you could make 10 short films in a row. And this is like right as COVID was starting and we were out of the city, and I was like learning to edit. I was taking online class for editing, online class for screenwriting, and I was writing my first scripts and everything. It was all about fully immersive, DiffeRant Jeff's film school all at home, safe, away from all the germs. And I said, okay, I'll do it. And so I made 10 short films in a row, and everybody around me was like, oh my God, you're amazing. You made 10 short films in 10 weeks. And I was like, yeah. But now, ironically, I make like 4 or 5 things a week and a feature film simultaneously. And it's like, what are you doing? You're wasting your time. But I put like 22 hours a week into those first short films. And some of them I'm still very proud of. I really do. I made some of them with my wife, a lot of them. That's pretty much it, Barb. That's the story. I started making shorts, and then it just stuck, and I love it. And it's my way to be able to play the parts and do the things that I want to do. And the last part I'll add to that is I really hope my channel will get huge so that it can help me get bigger jobs on Broadway. Help me, because there are people who are getting cast in our show on Broadway because they had a big YouTube channel. And I so much respect for what they created, and I see how hard it is. So hopefully I can be one of those guys, and then maybe they'll come a knocking and ask me to be in their shows. And that is pretty much everything I can say about everything. This is now the second time I've done this Q&A because the first time I forgot to record. It's been an interesting day and a great week, and I have a lot of gratitude for you all if you're still watching, and even if you watch part of this. You guys know what I need. I need you all to spread the word and watch as many videos as you can, and really watch them, and watch the feature film, and check out my other things I've been offering. Check out the music, check out the Patreon. Okay, thank you guys so much again. I'll do more Q&As if you want, but I can't imagine any more one. I think I told you guys my whole life story, so that's enough. Anything else is going to be the future. And I hope everyone's good. Have a great 4th of July, although I'm probably going to post this after the 4th of July. Hope you had a great 4th of July. And that's it. Thanks again. does saying you're sorry really count for? Really, you commit the crime, hang your head, walk out the door. You sent the note, spoke the word, and so easily expect forgiveness, absurd. How many men, how many humans walk the tightrope?